Welcome to my week in World of Warships Legends. I'm going to just show you guys what I got up to this week on the console version of this game. It's just going to be pure highlights, best moments, worst moments, that kind of thing. And I just want to talk about it because I had a lot of fun this week. Namely because the North Carolina finally got released into the game. As many of you know, North Carolina is one of my favorite battleships in the entire game, for obvious reasons. And it's been nerfed a little bit in this console game because it's not at the same tier as it normally would be. It appears they've down-tiered it to the equivalent of around tier 7. It's at the same tier as the Colorado. And let me just say, the gunpowder is monstrous. If you're someone who's playing World of Warships Legends, the North Carolina, so far to me, has been one of the best tier 6s that I have played in the game. Its guns hit really hard, and supposedly it has improved pen angles. So much like Des Moines, or in this game Baltimore, as well as other American heavy cruisers, you get improved pen angles, supposedly. That's probably going to try and make up for the slow shell velocity. Of course, it's not all amazing, right? You can't just put a North Carolina down a tier and not expect it to get nerfed. So you get worse reload. You saw just how much damage we ate from that torpedo on our belt. You eat huge damage from torpedoes because you have basically no belt. Much like the Iowa in this game, you're pretty easy to citadel when you're broadside, so you got to be careful with that. And the other major issue is that your bow and stern can be overmatched by other battleships. That, of course, is not really the case with the PC versions of the North Carolina. But they had to make some changes to make it down a tier, and I think making it overmatchable probably just needed to happen for it to be a tier 6. But you still get the 38mm deck, and I believe upper belt as well, which is pretty incredible. So you're resistant to some HE shells, and you can bounce high caliber AP. That said, the dispersion's not amazing. It is not a North Carolina in terms of dispersion. You saw just how horrible that last salvo was. We barely hit him. Of course, you show broadside long enough in a cruiser, you're probably going to eat a citadel. But even that, we only hit 3 out of 9 shells, and especially for that first clip, our spotter plane was up. If you didn't know what the spotter plane does in this game, it actually improves your dispersion rather than improving your gun range. So a pretty cool upgrade to get, but it doesn't always do amazing. You'll notice in the very first clip where I got a triple citadel on the Poltava, I actually popped my spotter plane. We're in a bit of trouble here. I want to show you exactly why I love playing Battleship in this game. And that's because of will to rebuild. You can see at the bottom middle of my screen that will to rebuild plus the healing icon is activated. And I love this skill. It gives you a heal when you're within a certain range of your friendly ships. So for me, because I'm low level commanders, I only have the first upgrade, so it's only 1.5 kilometers. So I need to stay within 1.5 kilometers of my battleship, who's currently charging forward. So we're not going to have our heal right now, but in order for me to live, I actually have to get up to him. And I love this because it forces you to play with your team. It really forces you to play with your team. And of course, there's other skills that are all range-based as well in playing around your teammates. But I think this does a really good job of incentivizing, helping, and playing around your teammates. When I'm in a DD, I'll probably try and go sit next to a really low HP battleship to try and give them a heal. You'll see in a second here, it's going to start ticking. There you go, you get the activation, and look at that. We actually have a heal, even though our heal is still on cooldown. Nagato gets a shot into us, but we're maybe healing just enough. Yeah, pretty lucky to be alive at this point. But it's so cool to have that opportunity to not just instantly die when your consumables are all on cooldown. It's really cool. And of course, NC has large guns, so we just overmatch right through a Nagato. Very easy. But the key there is will to rebuild. Such a cool skill, so you just take it on basically every battleship. There's other good skills too, but I found will to rebuild to be one of the most satisfying skills to activate. It's hard to do. If you're playing in Division with friends, oh my goodness, you're going to have a great time. But North Carolina is not very tanky. I don't want to portray it as this ultimate tank, because you get absolutely crushed some of the time. Of course, this Synop probably had to get a little bit lucky to hit our overmatchable parts that hard, but it's possible. I'm not saying it isn't, right? So you got to be aware of that with the North Carolina. You're not really going to be able to bow tank with this thing. You have to angle properly to deal with your rough, overmatchable bow instead. But the guns are great. I really, really like the guns. Just like on PC, NC is just beautiful when it comes to the guns. Again, here I'm trying desperately to activate Will to Rebuild. You can see on the minimap my friendly cruiser is so close. There's a battleship behind me, which if I'd kept running away straight, I probably would have gotten into Will to Rebuild range of him. Unfortunately, I didn't recognize that in the moment. So, yeah, we're going to go down here. But you can get absolutely crushed in the NC, and just like pretty much every other battleship, if you play too aggressively, it's probably not going to go too well. But there are opportunities where you can just full send it into people in this game and have a great time brawling it out. These kind of interactions don't happen as much on PC, and I love them. It's these types of battles that I absolutely love about World of Warships Legends. And if you're someone who's missing out on that kind of brawling aspect of the game and getting up close to people, I really think you would enjoy Legends. Sure, there's issues with it, just like the PC game, just like with most games. There's always going to be issues, things you don't really care for. But when this game is at its best, oh my goodness, it is so much fun. You could just full send it into people. Of course, I had to be patient this game, just like on PC. You can't just charge in most of the time. A little spoiler for a future clip, but you can't just charge in at the beginning of the game. You do have to be patient. You do have to use islands intelligently. But you can see on a map like Trap, they've actually increased the size of the islands, or rather, they've moved the islands closer together on this map. You can see that it's slightly different than the PC version. And it allows for opportunities like this. Not always, right? But every once in a while, you get that perfect brawl going, and wow, it feels amazing. And look at what just pops around the corner. Secondary's going. Go to West Virginia, California. I believe that there's Warspite or Queen Elizabeth on the other side as well. And we have a cruiser to deal with. This is so fun for me. I was having a great time this game. Of course, you can see the secondary consumable and what it does. I have a very low level captain, so my secondary accuracy isn't great. But look at how many hits we're getting. Of course, we're at close range, so we're going to get more hits than normal. But this secondary consumable just gives you better accuracy, and it might increase your reload just a little bit, or decrease your reload a little bit. I'm actually not too sure on all the technical details of this game. Been playing it more as a chill, relaxing, enjoyable experience. That's kind of what I've been looking for. But we get a lot of secondary hits, huge amounts of damage very quickly. Bayern, of course, very hard to kill in a close range fight. You have to aim for the upper bow, hit the overmatchable parts. And yeah, I'm shooting, into these guys' side, and they're not taking citadels, but that's what American dreadnoughts are. They don't really eat citadels all that easily, but you get to overmatch them everywhere anyway, so that kind of weakness balances itself out. A very, very fast 106k damage there at the end. And we keep going. I've been grinding through the Bayern. My goal, of course, is to get the Bismarck eventually. And even though German guns usually aren't very accurate, RNG is still present, and you can sometimes get some huge hits into some destroyers in this game. Overall, I'd say accuracy is worse in this game than it is on PC, but every once in a while, RNG just decides to bless your salvo, right? Maybe on the Russian ships, Stalin would guide them, right? But here we are in a crazy brawl pushing up mid. Our team is down. Our team is capping the base. And I could have won this game. This game, spoiler alert, match ended up in a loss, but I very nearly won this match. I am so sad looking back on it into my decision making. The thing I didn't do was stall the guys coming from the other side of the map. You can see the enemy team has a battleship and a cruiser on the opposite side of the map. And what are they going to do? They're going to come back to try and reset the capture zone. All I had to do was either sit in the cap myself and try and collect some points for myself, or prevent all these guys from coming back and resetting my DD, and then turn around and go fight the two guys charging back in from the other side of the map. But regardless, this is a really, really, really fun brawl for me as well. And we're just charging into people, and I love, love, love this. Of course, at higher tiers, you can't quite do this as much. I've noticed especially in legendary tier games, which is the equivalent of tier 10, the games are nowhere near this brawly, especially this early on. You can see we're only 5 minutes into this game. If you didn't know, Legends games timer has a 15-minute clock rather than a 20-minute clock. It's a little more fast-paced because of that, but yeah, at higher tiers, of course, you still get some of that campy meta, just because of the power level of a lot of those ships just increases. And of course, what are ships designed to do? They're designed to punish ships that are pushing into them. That's the way it works. At this point, I should be turning around. You can see how close the enemy cruiser is getting to our cap, and look at how close, or the enemy cap, sorry. Look at how close our DD is to actually winning us this game through the cap. If I had turned around, ignored this Budyoni, or maybe just left my secondaries on him, he wouldn't have done that much damage if I had just angled to him, and I probably could have won this game. All I had to do was delay that cruiser just a little bit. Look at how close we are to winning! Oh, it's so disappointing looking back on it into my decision making. But, hey, hindsight's 20/20. You can never get everything right in the exact moment. I was just having a ton of fun in this brawl, just charging into these cruisers and destroyers, having a grand old time. Of course, dispersion is dispersion, so even at these crazy, crazy close ranges, it's not guaranteed you're going to get hits. You're often going to get a lot of overpens on these cruisers. You can see I turn around and saw the cruiser there, and my disappointment there just set in. I just realized the mistake I had made when I turned around and looked at that guy. We could have won. I knew my mistake. But it was still a fun brawl. Dodging torpedoes, mainly on intuition and thinking, where is this likely to come from? Now this doesn't always work to dodge torpedoes like this. Sometimes you find yourself in positions where you're just gonna die. And that is because you overcommitted. And that's what happened this game. I love to push in and brawl, of course, in my Bayern, but those games you just saw are not the norm. Oftentimes, this is what happens. You get surrounded by actually 3 destroyers in this one, and all of your friendly DDs that you were with end up dying. And so there's a Leningrad, there's a Mayhan, and I forget what the DD is here in the smoke, but I'm actually flat broadside to, I believe, a Japanese destroyer. So, yeah, this is not going to end well for me, because they all go dark and end up just torping me to death. Yeah, you can't just recklessly push in all the time. That just is not going to work in this game. You do have to play smart, and you have to rely on your teammates for some sort of support. That is, especially when there's DDs still around. You can see just how much damage these torpedoes are going to do to me. And I deserve to die here, I'll be honest. I was a little bit not happy about this, but I overcommitted. That's what I get. And, well, sometimes you can overcommit, and it works out. And this map is kind of a funny one. You spawn so close to the enemy team that, well, if you're in a battleship with torpedoes, you're probably going to be able to push in and maybe torp some stuff. So this Gneisenau is completely stock. I think this is one of my first games in the ship, and I thought, well, since my ship is stock and I have a low-level commander, I don't have very good accuracy, I don't have very good guns, why don't we just use our torpedoes as our main armament? And that is an actual strategy you could employ in this game. And, well, I'm not going to use my torpedoes on a New Orleans that's, you know, on half health and nearly dead. I am going to use my torpedoes instead on the Iowa that's 3 kilometers away from me. Of course, we can get overmatched in this ship. And I am stock, so my HP is, I think, around 8,000 HP, less than I should have. Secondaries aren't as good, maneuverability isn't as good. But that doesn't matter. Your torpedoes are still amazing. We're going to try and wait until he shoots us once. We don't want to give flat broadside to him when we're going for our torpedoes. He still gets a huge salvo into us. It's an Iowa. It's to be expected. His guns are very, very good. Now, instead of going and turning right here, you should be turning left to try and get around behind him. You should be turning hard right. The goal is to get your other set of torpedoes on as quickly as possible, and that's what I'm doing here. This is a strategy you can employ in destroyers as well when you're rushing a battleship. If you go past them, try and turn out and swing your other side torpedoes to get them on target as quickly as possible. Iowa gets another shot in, but that's okay. We got our torpedoes off. Just a flesh wound, 84k damage, just like that. Easy peasy. This has been my strategy for grinding the, at least stock Gneisenau. Once I get some more upgrades, I'll probably try and play it a little bit smarter. But, well, we were here just holding the door on these guys, and our team wasn't doing so great. So I decided it's time to push. I was just getting farmed out by HE spammers. It's time to go. We're going to charge into a Nelson, which, of course, Nelson has some pretty amazing guns. But the key here is that Nelson has an overmatchable bow. And you can just Citadel him right through it. So this combination of torpedoes, reasonably good guns, and good armor, good secondaries is a great time. Honestly, the Gneisenau can get very frustrating if you play it at range, but a lot of these maps I've found are designed in such a way where you can generally find a way to push in, especially when you're top tier. Aiming for the bow Citadel, not going to bounce off of his broadside. It's very important where I aimed there. Learning where the Citadel ends and the bow begins, it shows you where you can get your overmatch in. Of course, we're not able to angle to the New Mexico in time, but that's okay. We still had a good time there. Here we go with a somewhat upgraded Gneisenau. I finally got the hull upgrade. This gives me better secondaries, better rudder shift, better HP, just a better ship overall. Running with a Cleveland here, and there's a Massachusetts on full health. Massachusetts is amazing in this game. It has really good secondaries. The guns are awesome. I don't think it has the improved heal. I actually don't know. But regardless, Massachusetts, we all know, is a great ship. Hard-hitting guns, good accuracy, tanky, hard to take down. Well, we're going to go charge him. We, again, have torpedoes. And having torps on a battleship is a ton of fun, honestly. I wish I could get a hold of some of these older ships that have been in the game for a while. Things like turpets would be a ton of fun in this game. Having that torpedo power and the ability to brawl would just be a ton of fun. Of course, I would love to get a Massachusetts eventually if they ever bring it back for the equivalent of free XP, which is global XP. If I ever end up getting that, I'll probably make a video on it, because we all know that is my favorite battleship still. Even after the nerf secondaries, Massachusetts is still my favorite. But pushing a Massachusetts, it can be a little bit scary. If he knows where to aim, he's going to do a ton of damage to me. What I'm trying to do here is bait him into shooting my broadside, which is heavily armored, and then I'm going to try and turn in an angle, trying to predict when he shoots. He doesn't shoot then, and because I'm actually angled, he's going to try and shoot the Cleveland instead. It's good by me, honestly. He's probably just going to get overpens on a Cleveland, because we all know that that's pretty much what you only do to Clevelands these days. And in this game, if you didn't know, Cleveland actually gets a heal. Just like all of the tier 7 cruisers, they get heals. So 155 Mogami gets a heal. Cleveland gets a heal. Baltimore gets a heal. Wichita gets a heal. They all got heals. But that makes sense. They're more around tier 9 power level because of that. Iowa, of course, is the first ship that I got in this game. First tier 7 that I got in this game. And, well, it's still amazing. You can do some absolutely disgusting hits with it. This game was a really good game for me, but it was kind of boring because I just kited these guys off the screen, and we got a ton of damage because of it. 180k in an Iowa, nothing to scoff at, but it was a little boring, so I just decided to skip through it. You guys have seen a battleship running to the back of the map, angling, that kind of thing. It's not anything that special. The Champagne is the actually most recent reward ship for the campaign, which is like the Dockyard in PC. And this Champagne is very different than the PC version. It does not have a 25mm bow or stern. It actually gets 32mm bow and stern, so you're kind of tanky in this ship, somehow. Of course, you do have to angle in it. You can't just let the enemies pen that 32mm upper belt. But you're a little bit able to angle in this thing. You can see the health is incredibly low. You actually get a decent reload in this ship as well. I think I've got around 24 seconds at the moment. A very low commander again. Just assume all these plays are made with low-level commanders. I'm still pretty new to this game, so I haven't had the time to invest in, and all the resources to invest in getting all the commanders all the right way. But this ship is actually pretty good. I've really been enjoying the Champagne, partially because of the speed. You get It's not that tanky because of the HP, but you can angle and do reasonably well. It's quite maneuverable, the turrets turn really quickly, and you get a decent reload. But we're actually about to brawl 3 destroyers. Not what you want to see out of a battleship, but that's where I'm at here. My team decided to, well, cover the flank. You can see our destroyers on the border. And our friendly cruisers and battleship were just kind of hanging out above the cap. So it's up to me to go spot these guys and try and brawl it out. So I'll try and work through the thought process a little bit. My goal was to get up close to this smoke to hopefully proximity spot them. But unfortunately, I wasn't quite able to do that. I was trying to do it from behind an island. That way they couldn't torp me. Of course, the champagne is so quick that it's really hard to torp this thing if you're maneuvering properly. We know there's a DD in this smoke right ahead of me. There's a Fletcher to the right, and, well, there's probably torpedoes coming. So I decide to just make a full circle. Make it really, really difficult for these guys to hit me. We get lit on fire. I had HE loaded, though, for the DDs. And then, of course, inevitably, a broadside cruiser pops up close range, and I actually don't have the expert loader skill. So, unfortunately, I don't get my reload in time to actually punish that cruiser. But we get behind an island. 3 fires on us, by the way, so we have to hit our repair. Hopefully, we don't get lit on too many fires again. Like I said, our HP is not that high. We've used our heal now. Our speed boost is about to go down. Now we got 30 seconds left, but I'm in such a bad position here because, well, this Fletcher and Akizuki could just round either corner and there'd be nothing I can do. So it's time to take the fight to them. Try and dodge torps as best I can. You're so fast that DDs have to lead very far in front of you if they want to hope to hit you. So any little movements of your rudder can actually dodge torpedoes very well. So you can see we actually dodged all of the Fletcher torpedoes at around a 3-kilometer range, which is pretty crazy. End up having our teammates take out the Fletcher, and, well, we're not going to load in time, so what if we just ram him, huh? That's one way to get a kill, right? I don't know if I've ever done that before. Ram a destroyer in a battleship. So first time for everything, I guess. I do end up surviving here, mainly because the enemy team is kind of forced to run away at this point, and I can use these islands to hide. So that was a pretty crazy game, and some pretty amazing battleship experiences on this game. But I don't want to leave you with the impression that battleships are just amazing in this game and nothing else is very good. I've already shown you what destroyers are capable of in dedicated videos, but cruisers are absolutely nuts. This is a legendary tier game. I'm facing a Kerfer, Shimakaze, that kind of thing. I'm kind of alone on this flank, and you can see I've been kind of, well, burning down that curve first, let's be honest. 188k in a 9v9 game. Yeah, this ship lights a ton of fires. This is a 155 Mogami with a heal, if you're curious what the what this ship actually is. It has a different name, but that's essentially what it is. And it is very good. The only problem is you can't get IFHE, so some of the other cruisers at your tier can actually shatter your HE, and it makes fighting them a little bit frustrating and a little bit difficult, but wow, do you ever burn battleships? It's actually incredible. I believe this was actually my first over 200k game in Legends, so pretty cool result there. You can see Khabarovsk has actually made it into the game as well. We only get, well, spoiler alert, we get 2 kills for our troubles here this game, but I just had an awesome time farming all that damage. So yeah, honestly, cruisers, battleships, and DDs, you can have a fun time in any of these ships. Of course, recently the aircraft carriers, German ones have been released, and they're a little bit strong, but we're not going to worry about that. Let's focus on the positive of this game, and that's what this was. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.